The BirdGuides Podcast.
Welcome to the BirdGuides Podcast with me, Josh Jones, and I'm joined today by David Campbell. Hi David, how are you?
Hiya, not bad. How's it going?
Very good, thank you very much. And Ian Lycett's here too. How are you doing, Ian?
I'm all right, thanks, Josh. Feeling pretty good, thanks.
Good stuff. And we're recording in the days shortly after Global Birdfair has come to pass. Just recovering after a long and busy and exciting weekend in the sun. How did you guys find the event?
Hot. The Friday was like a sauna in the Marquees, but it's always great to see so many familiar faces. I think this is something like the 27th bird fair I've done, so quite a lot of the familiar faces I've seen for many years. We've all got slightly older, fatter, greyer or bald together. Yeah, always good to catch up with people in the tents and talk birds with people from all around the world. Great, loved it.
And 27 bird fairs for you, Ian, but that was your first on the BirdGuides team, at least anyway, David.
Yeah, and my first at all for probably the best part of 10 years. So, yeah, my first since it was reincarnated, since it's become Global Birdfair and since it's moved location. And, yeah, the heat dialed down over the course of the weekend and it became increasingly comfortable. But, yeah, it's lovely to meet familiar faces and new people coming up, greeting themselves, saying they read the magazine and enjoy it. But, yeah, had a great time.
Yeah, it was a fun weekend, enjoyable as ever. This year's fundraising project was Preventing Island Extinctions, which was dedicated to the endemic bird life of Sao Tome. So some mega world birds there, things that are found nowhere else on Earth, especially in the island's forests. So species such as dwarf ibis, Sao Tome grosbeak, Newton's fiscal, all these kind of dream world birds, and this year's fair was raising funds to protect them for the future. Yeah, it was all in all, I think it was a really good success. It was, as you guys said, it was really hot on the Thursday and Friday. Setting up on the Thursday in 35-degree heat was pretty intense, but yeah, it was pretty pleasant thereafter. And yeah, it was overall, I think it was a pretty big success, the event. It was good to see that we were able once again to donate a good chunk of money as well to the cause. Official stats, I think, were just over £20,600 that we were able to donate to this year's cause, which was no mean feat, and credit to Ian for his work on that. Yeah,
we are the official media sponsor, so we produce the Bird Fair programme and have done for, again, 27, 28 years. A long-standing tradition.
So do you know what the grand total is so far to date?
About 385,000, I think, over all those years. So
not bad.
No mean feat at all.
Absolutely. Yeah, impressive.
Anything particularly stand out to you? Any favourite stands that you visited, or any sort of products that jumped out at you guys?
The art marquee is one of my weaknesses. I always do a round of that. I did a couple of rounds, and it was lovely to meet Ruth Weaver, who's got her fabulous art column every month in the expert advice section of Birdwatch magazine. I was very tempted to buy one of her tea towels, but didn't get to go round again, so I ordered a magnolia warbler print from her when I got home. But it was lovely to put a face to the name there.
Yeah, some very talented artists displaying their wares in the art marquee.
Yeah, it was good to see the Society of Wildlife Artists there as well, as always. Harriet Mead was there, Richard Allen, and one or two others. Some really lovely pieces of work on show. Yeah, loads of names and faces to talk about. It was great to see so many people, of course. First and foremost, Tim Appleton and Penny as well, for their tireless work on making the show a success. Great to see them. They were pretty busy as always, but yeah, lovely to see them, smiles on their faces.
Yeah, and we had some contributors come by, Lucy McRobert and Mike Allibone, who are regular in the magazine. They called by a couple of times. Lovely to see those.
Yeah, Mike loves his optics, and he gets his hands on all the new stuff when it comes out at Bird Fair, and goes away and has a play with it to do a review for BirdGuides and Birdwatch.
Did you see any particular products that stood out, anything new and exciting that caught your eyes?
Swarovski launched their new 80 Endura, which is a sort of mid-range scope, I suppose, for them. I think it sits just below their top sort of, it's not quite the Swarovski Hubble, but it's a slightly lighter, I think it's 65mm objective. So I had a look through that. That was as sharp and crisp as you would expect. I'm sure Mike will be reviewing that in the near future and letting us know what he thinks of it.
Yeah, very nice. What about you, David?
I was just enamoured by the AT Balance, which has been out for a little bit longer, but it was my first chance to get my hands on it. And yeah, I went to the optics marquee, scanned behind the trees and distance, just able to track buzzards and corvids wheeling around in the sky with no effort. As a bit of a tripod struggler, let's put it that way, the prospect of a scope that really works without a tripod is pretty exciting to me. So that's something to, put on the list for something to get.
Talking of image stabilised optics, I think Kite's new range of binoculars were also pretty impressive and seem to be very popular. And another thing that stood out to me, the one or two interesting phone scoping adapters incorporating magnetics, which seemed, I think, will surely end up being very popular. You don't see too many of them at the moment out and about in the field, but surely they're going to be the next in thing for making phone scoping easier and quicker going
Did you
forwards.
try any of those?
Yeah, tried a couple at the fair, and I was pretty impressed with how efficient they seemed. I don't know if you guys have done much phone scoping, but I've done quite a bit myself, and and it's either hand holding and wobbling about or using a slightly clunky adapter. Some of the original ones are, you look at this new generation of products coming through, and you kind of look at the older stuff, like some of the ones that I've got, and they're a little bit clunky to say the least. But anyway, more on that in due course. As Ian says, I'm sure there'll be plenty of reviews to come in the coming months, judging by the amount of exciting new products that were on show. But less about products. What about food, guys? What really caught your eye, and what did you enjoy eating over the weekend? Because there's always plenty to go at.
Sam flagged up the Lebanese cart, didn't he? And that lived up to expectations. The halloumi wrap was pretty cool.
Emilio's, yeah, very good. I was there every day, ravaging it.
Yeah, I had a crack at the Indian street food, which was very good. A nice spicy chicken curry, a couple of days. Main highlight was the Brockleby's pies, which are excellent pies for those who are a pie monger. I snaffled a big bag of those on the last day, brought them home, and was received like the returning hero by the rest of the family. So not so much, oh, you're back. It's like, oh, he's brought pies. And it's like, yeah. The crowd went wild. So yeah, they were really good.
Very good. Yeah, overall, though, a successful weekend for Birdwatch and Bird Guides. As alluded to previously, we had plenty of people stop by the stand and were very happy with what we do, and also some really nice constructive feedback as well, which is also welcome, of course. But yeah, great to see plenty of faces on the stand as well. A couple of more shout outs from my perspective. It was great to see the Backyard Avery Adventures team. I'm sure many of you will have seen some of their twitching videos on YouTube over recent months and years. It was also good to catch up with the Birding Girlies. That's Alicia and Tash. It was really nice to meet them, and they've just had a column in the August issue of Birdwatch, so it's good to put faces to the names there. And Wayne Glossop, Harriet Day, they also dropped by. And of course, actor Sam West, who was, of course, recently on Channel 5. David, you watched a bit of that, didn't you?
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. They started off in Cornwall and they visited Somerset and Norfolk in that series as well. So, yeah, it was a bit of a surprise when he came around the corner and we met eyes and went over and, I said how much I'd enjoyed the show. So, yeah, lovely to meet Sam West.
Very nice. And I suppose Birdfair being in July, it's not the birdiest time of year, because I always remember when it was originally down at Eggleton Reserve in mid to late August, it could be quite a birdie time with return migration kicking in. But nonetheless, we did manage to see a few birds around the fair as well, didn't we, guys?
Evo, you kind of took us out on your local rounds, got some good birds there. I got a couple of year ticks.
Yeah, fantastic. I was really getting out of bed early. It was a bit of a struggle, particularly after the football on the Saturday night, but well worth it. Yeah, really enjoyed having a look around your local zone. And yeah, as David said, scored a few year ticks, some really nice quail action, and really great just to see things like corn buntings in big numbers, which is a bit of a scarce down where I am in southern Essex, and yellowhammers really don't get many of those anymore. So yeah, great to be out.
Yeah. And that flock of cranes was spectacular, wasn't it?
Yeah, tremendous. They make such a great noise. Love listening to cranes.
Yeah, I always, as I said to you at the time, you have to pinch yourself sometimes and realise that this is literally on your back doorstep. 5-6 years ago, that would have been pretty much unheard of, and now they're just part of the furniture, so very lucky. But yeah, some other good stuff. I'm just sorry that I couldn't show you that brood of red-crested pochard, which I'd seen on the Thursday, but at least we managed to see 1 or 2 adults.
That was really good.
And you had your first little owl in a few years, didn't you, Ian?
Yeah, first little owl for a couple of years, which I don't know quite how I keep missing them. Used to have a pair over the back of the George, but they seem to have gone missing. So it's another bird that's got slightly harder to find locally.
Yeah, same here. Yeah,
it's the same here as well. We did do a feature on it in Birdwatch a couple of years ago about this remarkable decline that seems to be occurring in little owl, and for reasons unknown, although I think there are some suspicions. I have my own suspicions that buzzards might have something to do with it. But yeah, even around here in peak farmland, you would expect to be seeing more. But really, I don't see many at all these days. So it was a lovely surprise to see that one sitting out on a barn early in the morning in the low sun. So yeah, nice little bonus.
If you asked AI to generate a ramshackle old farm building that would have a little owl on it, it would have come up with exactly that.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think that barn's actually it's got breeding little owl, it's got breeding barn owl, and breeding kestrel all in it. So there you go.
Well, we saw the family of kestrels as well, didn't we, on the road?
Yeah, that would be the family there. They'd obviously just not long fledged, had they? The Jubs were flopping around on the road, looking a bit confused as to what was going on, a bit unsure about why they were suddenly able to fly. But good, it's that sort of good midsummer patch birding feel where it's just about appreciating your local birds a little bit more closely.
Yeah, tremendous. And the marsh harriers drifting around in the background over the crops. It felt like we were in southern Spain because it was just a great feel. Quail calling from different points. Yeah, really nice. Loved it.
Yeah, good times, and a few waders in the murk of Sunday morning. There was obviously a few black-tailed Godwits dropping in, weren't there? And 1 or 2 of the bits green sandpipers. So yeah, it feels like wader passage is pretty much all systems go now, and I suspect over the next few weeks it's going to pick up further.
Definitely.
Indeed.
Yeah, I've had a bit of action down at my patch last night. Things are definitely moving through now.
Yeah, indeed. Birdfair, all in all, great success, great weather, great to catch up with so many friends, old and new, and yeah, all round a really fun weekend. But anyway, let's move on. We're going to talk a bit about some of the recent major sightings around the country. It's been a few weeks since we actually recorded the first episode, and it's been really rather a busy July so far. July can often be pretty productive for rarities, and more on that in a future pod. But yeah, I think July 2026 will be fondly remembered in years to come, not least for the long-tailed shrike that has turned up in Fife recently.
Yeah, which got us both moving, didn't it?
It did, yeah. Only the second for Britain, after a bird in November 2000 up on South Uist. I think that was only a 2-day bird officially, but I think the Rarity Archive says something along the lines of it was possibly there since the 27th of October, because there had been a possible redback shrike reported in the immediate area. So the suspicion is it had been there for a week or so. But of course, that was a rather infamous bird, because I think it occurred in a time when people... I'm not entirely sure exactly what happened. Was it something to do with... Does anyone know the exact story there?
Yeah, one of my birding mentors back in the day was Johnny Allen, who was on that Twitch, and I also dug out James Hanlon's brilliant book, UK 500 Birding in the Fast Lane, to relive that... to live that tale vicariously, which must be the grimmest Twitch dip that's ever befallen anyone, where Johnny and James and a few others chartered a very small fishing boat, I think it was, over to South Uist with a view to not having to stay overnight, get back there quicker, see the bird quicker, and their engine cut out halfway across when a storm was coming out. They were overtaken by the scheduled boat. Everyone on that saw the bird. They had to be rescued at sea, basically. Some of them were worried for their lives by the sound of it, reading that chapter. Ouch. And I think some of them tried to get over again, but by that time it had gone. And others, including James, just sacked it off and went home. So I'm sure they're glad today that goes to rest.
Yeah, it's 26 years. I can't believe that. That's mad. I seem to vaguely recall that bird occurring at the time, and to think that was 26 years ago is quite remarkable. I presume you didn't bother with that one, and you didn't think about it.
I did not know, but yeah, the tales of Russian tankers coming alongside the boat to make sure that they didn't sink or get turned over in the waves whilst they waited for the RNLI to come out and tow them back. Yeah, one of the big stories from the annals of twitching, that one. I think when the RNLI got there, I think a few of the guys asked them if they wouldn't mind towing them the rest of the way.
Of trying.
Yeah, well, that was declined.
Yeah, no thanks. Yeah, I was quite intrigued actually. Ahead of the pod, I was looking at how many Western Palearctic records there'd been a long-tailed shrike, and I was slightly surprised to realise it's only the 15th WP record, and even more surprisingly, it's actually been curiously rare in recent years. This is this bird in Fife that has been around lately. It's the first regional record since one in Switzerland in 2018. So 8 years have passed. Not just a big British bird, but a big regional bird as well. So yeah, when it turned up and the mega alert broke, I think it was a Sunday morning, wasn't it? Or maybe a Sunday early afternoon, thinking about it. No doubt there was quite a few people breaking out in a sweat and fumbling around for the car keys before jumping into their vehicles to head up to Fife.
Sam was quick off the mark, and then we were a couple of days later. I think we made it up on the last day, which was the Wednesday, right?
Yeah, so it was 4 days, was it, in total?
Yeah.
So to be honest, seeing the bird, we went up on the Wednesday, as you say. Having seen the bird and seen the kind of the state of the plumage, I was not expecting it to disappear. I was fully expecting that bird to be there for weeks. Kind of a bit like the red-tailed shrike at Bempton. Yeah, was that 2022 or 2023? One of the two. And yeah, I was just expecting it to sit there and molt really and give itself up to all and sundry for weeks. But evidently the bird had other ideas. But yeah, big twitch up to Fife, and quite a nice, actually talking about farmland birds as we were a short while ago, that was a really nice spot for farmland birds as well, wasn't it, Dave?
Yeah, it felt like stepping back in time, but as soon as we got out of the car, we heard the tree sparrow, corn bunting, and the whole walk, which was, I don't know, a mile or so to we were hearing those species, along with yellow wagtails singing in the fields, meadow pipits with food. Yeah, it felt like stepping back a few decades, and evidently the farmers are managing their land with nature in mind, which is brilliant to see. Just shows it can be done.
Yeah, it was nice to see. It was a little bit hairy though, wasn't it, Dave? Because we left, I think you picked me up about 4 a.m. from Stamford in Lincolnshire, so we had about 7 hours to go from there, give or take, with some stops. Because I have to quickly add that we had David's dog Nevis with us, so I was squashed into the back of David's car with this big white furry dog on top of me, drooling into my lap, which was quite good value. But no, we got up there late morning, but by that point it was pretty warm, wasn't it? It was warm, it was windy, the sun was blazing down. The shrike hadn't been seen for about an hour or so by the time we got there, and we were there about an hour and a half before it finally popped out. But I must admit, I was fearing a dip at one point.
Yeah, in hindsight, it probably wasn't the best timing, was it? Because it's that kind of midday shrike snoozy time when they often get their heads down and digest whatever they've been eating in the morning. And
tree sparrows, I think, for much of the time it was there.
Right.
Oh yeah, you said your mate had seen it eat a tree sparrow.
Yeah. I didn't realise that. Wow.
Shredded.
Well, that would take it a while to digest. And then, like you say, those sort of afternoon conditions when it's sunny and windy and just in normal birding, and when it's like that in the afternoons, you just think it's not really worthwhile, stuff's not going to come out. And I got similar vibes to you, but thankfully it was spotted just sitting quietly in a little gap and showed there for a few minutes, grabbed another caterpillar and then dived back in.
Yeah, it was quite entertaining actually watching. It was very hazy, the bird was quite distant, but it was sitting there looking very intently, and as shrikes do, suddenly dropped off its perch and emerged with this great big green caterpillar, which it proceeded to whack against the tree for a couple of minutes before gobbling up. Yeah, good value.
Oh, they're a really entertaining family, aren't they, shrikes? Never get tired of watching them. As you say, butcher birds nailing other wildlife and bashing it on twigs or logs and then skinning it and chomping on it. Really exciting, really good.
Absolutely. As I said earlier, though, I'm genuinely surprised that bird's gone, and I feel it might still be there. I don't know what you guys think, but it wouldn't surprise me one bit if it's just moved a couple of fields away and it's out of view from public rights away, and it's just happily sitting there molting away in Fife at the moment.
Yeah, it was like you. I couldn't get the Batmobile into action during the first week, but I had a plan to meet mate up in Barnsley, leap in with him and plough on up if it had still been around. I was convinced it was just going to stay around and molt and do that red-tailed shrike at Bempton did. It seems extraordinary that it's gone. I'd love to know where it actually is.
No, it must be in Scotland.
Yeah, it was getting hounded a fair bit, I think, by the buntings. I didn't see that personally, but I saw people commenting that yellowhammers were giving it a hard time, and
hounded by the buntings.
So you wouldn't blame it.
I'm not surprised when it was eating their children.
Exactly.
They're not going to take kindly to it, are they? Oh dear. So anyway, so it's a really big bird, and I think a lot of people probably saw it, probably 4 figures, perhaps over the 4 days. I would guess there were certainly quite a few people there when we saw it, and no doubt there would have been a big crowd through on the Sunday. But as I said, like a surprisingly big bird. At one point, probably 10 years or so ago, it felt like it was just going to be another one of these Asian species that kind of got more regular in Europe. I think there was a run of the species between, I don't know, about 2006 and 2016, that sort of decade, where there were at least 5 or so birds in Europe, plus a regularly returning bird in Kuwait. Then they bred in Kazakhstan in 2016, inside the West Pal part of Kazakhstan. And you just thought, here we go, yet another one of these sort of Asian or Siberian birds which is spreading west and is going to become more regular. And it's not proved that way. It's evidently gone back to being a real extreme rarity. So, yeah, nice one to see. I'm just sorry it didn't linger long enough for you, Ian.
Indeed. Hope it's not 26 years before the next one. And hopefully the next one will be in Norfolk or Suffolk, which would make life a lot easier.
I suppose they're not a long-distance migrant, really, are they? The race, this was the Central Asian race. They just moved down to the plains in India, as far as I understand. So it's always going to be an extreme vagrant, isn't it? Unless, like you say, that Kazakhstan record was maybe a sign that they could slowly creep this way. Maybe they'd become commoner over time, but surely it will take a while.
Yeah, indeed. And yeah, you say hopefully it's not going to be another 26 years, Ian, but no jokes aside, it does seem to be like a generational bird in Britain, once in a generation bird. Let's see what happens. It wouldn't surprise me if it shows up again before the end of the summer again somewhere, whether that's just where it is now or just along the coast somewhere. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, there will be a finder's account on Bird Guides and in Birdwatch at some point very soon, I am sure. Actually, that's one of 3 ticks I've had in the last month. I remember after saying in our inaugural pod that I was a failed twitcher, I've actually had 3 British ticks in the last month.
Oh, because you got over for the heron in the end, didn't you?
Yeah, I got the heron eventually, went down for that in Pembrokeshire. That was really fun. That was a beautiful bird in a beautiful location. And also, finally, went and saw the black-winged kite in East Norfolk, because I was over there with my mum anyway, looking at fen orchids in June. So it would have been rude not to drive the extra 20 minutes down the road and pay homage to that bird. So, yeah, I'm on a bit of a roll at the moment, guys.
Yeah,
well,
pretty
keep
good.
it up.
Okay, we're going to take a short break. We'll be back very shortly with the second part of today's pod. Welcome back to the BirdGuides Podcast. And in the second part of today's pod, we're going to be discussing some of the recent rarities that have turned up. As mentioned before the break, it's been quite an entertaining July so far, with lots of big birds showing up around the country, not least the blue-cheeked bee-eater that was found on Papa Westray on the 13th. Still present there as we record on the 15th. Ian, you're making some grumbles there.
I am, yes. I need blue-cheeked beta. I think I did actually mention in the previous pod that we recorded that's actually going out soon, that was recorded in June, that I wanted to see one of those and would be very happy if someone could find one. But finding one on Papa Westray wasn't really what I had in mind, because that could be a different country as far as I'm concerned with my ability to get there. So yeah, that was a bit annoying, but great for those that can get there and see it. I know our colleague Sam has been up, and rapid reaction as always from Sam. I think he's one of those sleeper assassins that just waits for the call and then heads off with his bag and goes and gets his target.
Yeah, do you know what? It remains one of the hardest birds to twitch, doesn't it? In anywhere in Britain, one of the because it is a rare bird. I think this is the 18th overall, give or take. So it is a very rare bird, but it occurs regularly enough that you think it's going to fall at any point. It feels like every year it might fall,
and often in July.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So one turns up and you think, here we go, and then it's gone before you can even react. But however, this is the exception. So we're recording on day 3 of the bird's stay. It's still there, and yeah, it looks like Sam had a pretty successful day out with some really nice views on Papua Westray yesterday. I'm just trying to think if will you guys have dipped a blue-cheek beater at some point down the years?
I managed to miss the one in almost the same date, actually, 12th of July 1989, that was a twitchable one I think it was in Lincolnshire. I was at a girlfriend's house in Stanford-le-Hope at the time, and obviously in the days before BirdGuides, didn't hear about it until it was too late and it had gone. Missed that one, and then missed that one in Kent fairly recently by an hour. So yeah, got a bit of history with blue-cheek beater.
Yeah, and blue-cheek beater, as Ian mentioned, is one of the birds that we talk about in the next episode of the pod, which is out next week. We did actually record that back in June, as he alluded to, so there might be one or two references in there that don't apply anymore, for example, about blue-cheek beater. But yeah, this is the 5th blue-cheek beater since 2019 in Britain, so it does seem to be becoming a bit more regular. Whether that's related to climate change and warming summers, who knows? But yeah, tricky bird to see. Although there was one last year, wasn't there? There was one last year. Was it?
Yeah, I can't remember where that was now.
It was in Argyll somewhere.
Yeah, that's right. It's on Iona, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, a few people saw it, didn't they?
Yeah, but they must have got out of the tracks pretty quickly, because I think it was unconfirmed news in an evening. So you had to get across Islay and over to across Mull and over to Iona to see it the following morning, and then it disappeared very quickly, didn't it?
Yeah, basically went on unconfirmed news.
That's right. Yeah, and it is one of those birds that do seem to have a big geographical spread in the country. They turned up in Kent, Devon, Lincolnshire. We're all really just waiting for one to turn up in Suffolk near someone who's got some beehives or something and sit there for a week. That would be ideal.
Yeah, I can really imagine one at Beachy Head or Dungeness, or maybe, who knows, even my patch, Hastings Country Park up at the Cliff Tops or South Foreland. I'm sure it won't be too long a wait before there's a mainland one like that 2009 Kent bird that does actually not fly out to sea as soon as people start going.
Yes, one of my mates, Dave Mayers, he turned up at the car park there and set off towards where this thing had been catching dragonflies off a hedge, and he stopped to talk to a couple of people who were asking what's going on, and another birder shot past him without stopping. And as Dave was explaining, there's a rare bee-eater. The bee-eater actually flew over Dave's head, circled around, dropped over the cliffs, and presumably headed back to the continent, and the fella that had rushed past him missed it. Dave was very lucky.
That's painful, very painful. Yeah, my friend Mark Reed had not quite that painful, but was on his way to see it, and I think he had a puncture or something similar. Something minor went wrong with his car anyway, so he had to stop and do some repairs. I'm pretty sure it was a puncture, and it was that cost him the bird because he got there about an hour too late. I think I got as far as the Dartford Bridge for that one. I basically just went down on hit and hope, really. You thought maybe it'll come back, but nah, that was it, gone.
Yeah, I missed it by an hour. But there you go, you can't win them all.
One bird we have had a bit more success with, I presume we all have, is Hudsonian Godwit. Have you guys seen Hudsonian Godwit?
I saw that one in Somerset. Was that
I have
same
indeed.
as you, Ian?
No, I saw the one in Blacktoft in May 1983, slightly before you
ahead
were
of the game
born.
there.
For many years, you would have had a blocker, wouldn't you? Because
yes,
for
indeed.
years and years, Hudsonian Godwit was an incredibly rare bird. Yeah. But one in Suffolk this month turned up at Minsmere on the 1st of July and has since relocated to the Stour Estuary, where it's been showing daily since. That is the latest in a pretty remarkable run of records of the species in Britain. If you go back to 2020, so this decade, this is the 6th, would you believe, that has turned up.
Extraordinary.
Yeah, it was a juvenile in Fife in late 2020, male in Shetland summer 2023, then a male on the Dee Estuary on the Welsh-English border the following August, and then as the female in Hampshire that you mentioned, David, in May 2025, and now, of course, this one. Sorry, it's the 5th, not the 6th. But yeah, remarkable.
Yeah, and
I wonder what's behind that.
Yeah. Was this one in Portugal shortly before it turned up at Minsmere as well?
That's right. It was seen in Portugal on the 26th of June, so quite an interesting journey, really. What was it doing? Perhaps has it just crossed the Atlantic, hit Portugal, and then continued northeast? Fascinating to know where it's been and where it's going. But yeah, until recently, certainly one of the rarest vagrants on the British list. I saw the female that was in Somerset in 2015, which a lot of people turned up for. It was a massive twitch for that bird. It was the first British record for 27 years at the time.
Yeah.
So for there to have been this run seems pretty mad.
See how long it lasts for.
Yeah, indeed. It might seem balmy saying it, but it's now the sort of thing that I one day might hope to see locally, which 5 years ago I never would have said. We get such a huge build-up of Icelandic black-tailed Godwits in the Peterborough area on the Neem Washes in spring that you just think, well, maybe it's not out the realms of possibility. And of course, as Ian alluded to, this relocation, this international relocation between Portugal and England, amazing really, and it did prompt an office discussion on some of the more extraordinary rarity relocations, and we're thinking about lining up a feature for Birdwatch on some of these, but are there any particular ones that stand out to you guys just off the top of your heads?
That northern mockingbird that was down in Devon that sort of relocated across. I think it went. Did it go to Pulborough Brooks and then it was?
Yes.
Then it went north and it was seen in the sort of Yorkshire zone or somewhere.
I think it was Northumberland, wasn't it? It was
Northumberland,
quite
was it?
near where Anne and Tilmouth.
Yeah, that's
lives,
right.
I
Yeah.
believe. Yeah. That was amazing, especially for a passery. I was going to say waders really lend themselves well to relocations because they're conspicuous. They turn up in places where birders go. But to relocate a passerine like that is really quite extraordinary, isn't it?
Yeah, I did see a desert wheatear at Langard, I think, back in the sort of late 80s that was then refound the following day in Devon. That was a bit of a hop for it.
Yeah, I remember there was an Amur stonechat, or what was called Steniger's stonechat for a while. There was one at Portland. I think it was one of the first ones, and that had been in the Netherlands beforehand. And I have a feeling that there might have been actually the odd shrike that has relocated as well, off the top of my head. But yeah, one to save for the magazine article, I think. But it does lead nicely into our next talking point, which is the trumpeter finch that was on Fair Isle for 3 days in late June. Some photo analysis has showed this to be the bird that was on the Salty Islands in County Wexford back at the end of May, early June. So yeah, an absolutely extraordinary relocation of a passerine. Another one that just stands out. What are the chances of that happening?
Yeah, and you wonder where it was in between.
Yeah, indeed. What was it doing? Where was it being? Was it somewhere in Northern Ireland or the Western Isles or something like that?
Yeah.
But it added
Lurking
itself
around.
to the Irish list and the Fair Isle list, right? So it was quite a significant addition to both because, Ireland had been waiting a long time for one, and it looked like it was going to be Fair Isle's 400th bird, didn't it? But then they realised they missed out a species and they'd actually already got there with the Parula in the spring.
Oh yeah, because there was much furore about what would be the Fair Isle's 400th, but actually it turns out they'd already got there. But pretty extraordinary stats for one small island, isn't it? Really, more to go past 400 species.
Incredible. Yeah.
Talking about rarities and the kind of ebb and flow of records, I guess trumpeter finch is opposite really to Hudsonian Godwit, because it's actually the first British record since 2011, bird on Lundy, so 15 years ago, and you guys will recall fondly that bird was the latest individual in an amazing run of 9 different trumpeter finches in the space of 7 years, following 4 birds in 2005, which included the famous Langard bird that attracted loads and loads of people, and then there were 3 in 2008 and then 1 in 2010. So yeah, it's just funny how these birds can feel like suddenly they're becoming really quite regular and then all of a sudden fall off a cliff again and you don't get one for years and years.
Yeah, it's funny how they come in waves. I saw the Langard one. That was and that was as you say, a big twitch. Lots of people there, lots of happy punters. There had actually been one at Pagham in May ¡84 that was there for a few days, but that one unfortunately got taken by a sparrowhawk, which displeased some people who were turning up to see it.
I can imagine.
Is it still here was the question, and did you see that sparrowhawk on your way past? Yeah, it was carrying the trumpeter finch.
Oh.
Sorry fellas, it's effectively gone.
Yeah, it is still here, but whether it's still breathing is another matter.
Exactly, it's in bits.
So which did you see, Josh?
Yeah, I saw the Langard one as well.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, I saw that on the second day. I think it broke and loads of people went down on the day because I think it broke quite early, so there was a massive twitch on the first day, but I went the next morning, but there were loads of people there as well for that one. So yeah, it was. But then again, that was me. That was the time when I was really growing up and really into twitching, and Yeah, it just, with that run of records, it felt like it was just going to be a bird that showed up every couple of years, but it's not proven that way. So on to the next, where there was a brown booby seen on the 14th of July at Bempton Cliffs, photographed from the cliffs. Feels to me like it could be the first of quite a few this year, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We're talking about very warm sea temperatures in the sort of North Atlantic and our zone, so you'd expect there to be, some very interesting seabird records turning up. You think, Silonian waters. At the moment, we've got this big flow of easterly winds coming off the continent, which is not much good for seabird watching particularly, but you'd think when they eventually turn around, it's going to drive some interesting things in.
Yeah, I think the seabird season has been very quiet so far, but as you say, it's down to this high pressure, isn't it? There's just not been the conditions to drive these birds in. There was a bit of unsettled weather back in June with some westerlies, and there were some really early records of things like Great and Corey shears, Wilson storm petrels, and you feel like as soon as that high pressure bubble bursts, you'd imagine that the tap will turn on for seabirds, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'll be keeping a close eye on the weather, seeing when to pop down to West Cornwall.
Yeah, definitely. You guys seen brown booby?
Got that one in Cornwall, the second one that turned up in Cornwall immediately after the first at the Lizard. That's the one I got.
Canance Cove.
That's the one.
Yeah, I saw that one as well. Yeah.
I think I must be one of the few birders yet to see one in Britain, I think.
That was a great spot, Canance Cove, just standing on the cliffs, and the booby had actually decided it was going to roost round the other side of a small offshore island, so you couldn't actually see it, so you had to assume it was there, and then eventually it came piling out and started fishing in the bay, put on a really good show. Yeah, job done, and then it was off to find a pasty, which was successfully snagged as well, so a good day all in all.
Yeah, happy days. Other recent rarities, Western Reef Heron, that's still been knocking about, although it's not been seen for the last few days. Since we recorded the first pod back in June, the bird, of course, had returned south back to Pembrokeshire, where I saw it, and that's also where it had originally been seen back in mid-May. Lovely place, the Gann Estuary, but no sign now for a few days, and you just wonder, where's it gone? Where's it going to turn up next? Any thoughts?
Have a spread bet. Yeah, there's so many different sort of little coastal spots around there that would suit a reef heron. You wonder if it'll just stay local during the summer, or if it's got the wanderlust and it'll maybe turn up in Ireland or something like that.
I can imagine it prancing around the Hale Estuary. That would be a nice way to get it, because I had 2 or 3 half-hatch plans to go, including post-Birdfair, and of course then it vanishes, so I'm counting on it rearing its head again. Really sat on my laurels for that one.
I'm sure it will. It's such a distinctive bird, and it's already managed to get itself found in various places on a few occasions, so I'd be very surprised if that's the last we see of it. To be honest, I wonder how long it'll end up hanging around. Maybe it'll head back at the end of the summer, back south, but given that birds in Spain and France have ended up putting in really extended stays that have in some cases been into the years, you do wonder if it is going to just hang around, a bit like the snowy egret did all those years ago, and just spend a couple of years touring round until it disappears into the ether.
Yeah, and even if worst case something has happened to it or it's already gone, I think with these influxes into Spain, Italy, France of reef herons, it seems to happen basically every late spring now. It won't be long before another one gets this far north again.
Yeah, indeed, I'm sure. A couple of other little snippets of interest. Late news broke on the 2nd of July of a little swift in Highland, Scotland. Had been seen on the 6th of June. Unsurprisingly, it was the first record for the Scottish Highlands, and actually it's the first British record anywhere since that really bizarre occurrence in Eastbourne on the 2nd of January 2023. Have you got some beans to spill on that one, David?
Yeah, that was a day. I went over to meet up with Mark Reed, who you mentioned earlier in Eastbourne, and we were birding for the morning. He was going to carry on and do some woodland birding, and I made my way back to Worthing, where I lived at the time, and literally as soon as I got to the door, the alert came through, and I drove straight back to Eastbourne, and it had gone. Yeah, that was a period of high pressure, winter obviously, but they wafted that up north, and hoping for another chance in Sussex before too long.
Yeah, odd record. There wasn't one in Ireland in Christmas, was it? I seem to recall.
Yeah, there was a white trump swift. Yes,
yeah,
it was
a winter
of
job.
Sorts. I think it was possibly a white rump swift though, rather than little. And yeah, another one just finally worth mentioning. American tree sparrow in Iceland this week. It feels like a bird that might one day show up in Britain. not happened yet, of course. This is only the second for the Western Palearctic, following one in Sweden in November 2016. So yeah, very rare bird, but you feel like, given our run of American sparrows, there's a good chance that it's going to show up here at some point.
Quite possibly, yeah. I think with the amount of cruise liners that are going across the Atlantic these days, it's highly probable that something like that might sneak on board. Many of them are just floating islands these days, aren't they? There's plenty of food and habitat to keep one happy until it passes Southampton and leaps off. And then you have the debate about ship assistance and whether you can truly count these things. This Iceland one's also just hopped off a boat, hasn't it?
Wasn't there one seen on a boat a few months ago in the North Atlantic?
It was very recently. There was one on a cruise ship that left North America very recently and was going into Reykjavik. It's coincidental. It's probably a very good chance it's the same bird, but this raises the question about ship-assisted birds and what we do with them, whether we count them, and so on and so forth. I think that's a topic for another day, guys. There's lots to get your teeth into there. But yeah, we'll perhaps have a chat about that at some point on a future pod. But that's all we've got time for today, I'm afraid, guys. Good to catch up as always, and yeah, good to see you looking happy and healthy after a long and tiring weekend in the hot sun at Birdfair. But yeah, we'll be back very soon with another episode of the BirdGuides Podcast. In the meantime, you can follow us on socials. Please like and subscribe to your podcast and give us a review. If you're interested in anything to do with birds and birding in Britain and Ireland and indeed beyond, new users are entitled to a month-long free trial for BirdGuides, which will give you access to our popular bird news app. And in the meantime, we'll say bye for now and see you soon.
Cheerio.
Cheers.
You have been listening to the BirdGuides Podcast. For the latest and best birding content, visit birdguides.com.